Welcome back. So we have this small running app on localhost. Now we want to try and host it on Firebase. That's the goal of this lesson. Now, before we do it, before we actually start working with the getting started guide, I know there's something we have to do up front, and that's actually build our application to kind of make it runnable on a web server. Because right now it's actually in dev mode right here, meaning that all of this TypeScript code, for instance, we have in here, that's not something a web server could read. So if I go into this file called app component TS, this is not something a browser could read or a web server could send out for us. So it needs to be built into something that we can send to a web server that can then deploy it or send data to a client or a browser who needs to talk to us. So the first thing we do right here is ng build -- prod to kind of say we want to go to production, right? So while this build, let me just try and explain what's going to happen. It's going to create a new folder for us. I'll show you in a second, called the dist folder. That's just the default name for a folder when we make a build. We can change that, but let's not do that. So it's going to end up with a dist folder. That's very important to know. So let me just try it's done now. So there we go, we have a dist folder up here. When I click the dist folder, you'll notice our application has changed now. Now it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 different files right here. And they're pretty much being, it's JavaScript file that's been bundled. So let's just try and have a look at them. It's important that you understand this. So first of all, let's look at the index HTML file. Notice it's just one huge line right now, right? So all the spaces and new spaces has been removed. Why? Because then it's faster to download your application. Other things that's happened, if we scroll, it actually went in and it added these bundles right here, like inline, a huge complex number, .bundle.js, which is exactly the name of the bundle right here, right? So it added those for me automatically to make this ready for deployment on a production-ready system, right? So that's also in there. Now, why this complex line right here of text? Well, that's to avoid caching issues in your browser. Your browser is intelligent and says, whenever I see a file, like for instance, if I saw a file called style bundle CSS, I'll just cache that file and I don't have to go and get it again until some new name pops up. Now, to make sure that that doesn't happen, so I can't overwrite the styles automatically, we always add something gibberish right here in between styles and bundle, so that the next time it'll get a new set right here, maybe a new key called 1C25 blah 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 blah, because then your browser will say, oh, this is a new file, let me just go and grab it. The problem is, if you do not add this, is that even though you change your CSS, the client or the customer might not see the change because it's still just getting the old file until he clears his local cache. You do not want customers to clear their own local cache. They'll definitely break something. So that's why you're kind of adding these crazy codes in the middle of your names of the different files right here. So that's pretty much all it's done. It's taken all our code, converted it into these 4 files. It's taken the index file, changed it a bit so that it fits better, and it's removed a lot of different things, like, for instance, all spaces are gone. So this is not very readable anymore. It's minified it. That's what we're saying. It's minified it. Another thing it does, it went in and it changed all function names into different letters like this. And as you go down, you'll see A, B, B, C, and stuff like that. It went in and it obfuscated everything. So it's not easy to reproduce it. And also, again, it's more compact. So it's done so many crazy things that well, that's just something that the framework here does for you. And there are other frameworks for this as well, but this is kind of a huge help when we're building an Angular app. So now that the dist folder is ready, let's try and deploy this.